not every client is going to be happy. Okay. No matter what you do, not every client's going to be happy. I literally told you guys the story where our median response time was 36 minutes and 72% of this client's request for communication was after hours. And we still responded frequently within less than an hour after hours. We got him $200,000 more than he should have gotten. And he's still complaining. So you're not going to make every client happy. That is the truth. But you will make significantly more clients happy if you make them pay for things before you do the work. And that's kind of just been my test is like with Samantha, I won't say the last name obviously, but the gal that messaged me at 10:08, having those conversations up front are really hard. Hey, look, your retainer is gone. We're about to do these motions, this work. It's going to be about $10,000. You're going to have to pay for that before I do it. How do you want to pay? But that conversation, although hard, is less hard than, hey, I just did $10,000 worth of work. Pretty please pay me.
And also getting a lot up front and then giving a refund at the end. Happy clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so even and this happens with our litigation cases too, right? So most people, they hire us, we go to mediation, we settle. Only about 2% of our cases go past mediation. But all of those cases are litigation cases and they're always nasty and they're always hard. And so but because we do flat fees, we have to have that conversation before we do any of the work. And so my attorneys then have to say, hey, look, you didn't settle at mediation, so we're going to do the following things for discovery. These 5 things in discovery are going to cost you $10,000. How do you want to pay for that? And sometimes they say, well, do I have to do all 5 things? And we have that conversation, like we want to do this one because of this and this because of that. Of the 5, these 3 are the most valuable. But if you truly couldn't afford all 10,000, we probably could get away with, 6,000 if we did these 3 things. And sometimes that's what they decide. And when I help them understand, like, look, it is making our case at trial a little bit harder. Like, obviously, the more evidence I have, the better my result, the better results I'm going to have at trial. But, 80-20 rule, Pareto's law, whatever, like, this is the best evidence and this is what it costs for things. And I help them decide. Sometimes I just tell them straight up, like, look, we have to do it. So in my custody cases, if someone wants to go to trial, I will not take a case to trial if we haven't done a custody evaluation. I just don't feel comfortable having some random person in a robe, even though there'd be a judge, make a decision on custody. Because I don't think judges know the most about kids. I think child psychologists that have studied for their entire life on what's best for kids knows more about what's best for kids than judges. So that's my personal opinion. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But if someone wants to take a case to trial that has custody, I will not do so unless we do a custody eval. And those are between $4,000 and $5,000. So when someone asks me and I say, look, it's $5,000 for this, and they say, do we have to? I say yes. Personally, I won't do it. There's other attorneys out there that will, and sometimes they fire me and hire a different attorney that won't, doesn't require a custody eval. So as the attorney, you get to draw the line in the sand of, if I'm going to proceed, I have to do these things, and this is what it costs, and I can and would like to do these things, and this is what it costs. And let the client decide what they're willing to pay for, and they understand the risk. But then have those conversations, because if they can't afford it, I'd rather know before I do the work, because doing $50,000 worth of work and not getting paid for it sucks. But what sucks more is I've yet to do $50,000 worth of work and not get paid for it, and my client be happy. If you waive all 50 grand, I bet they'll still not like you. And I use that as an example because you could waive all $50,000 of this bill, effectively handing them a check for $50,000, and they still wouldn't like you. And that's what's messed up about being an attorney. If you walked into a grocery store and took $50,000 worth of produce, which you wouldn't even be able to carry, and walked out the front door with it, you would be arrested for theft. Yet these people just received $50,000 worth of services, and they're not going to jail, even though they're technically stealing from you. My best advice for future cases is have these conversations up front and decide, like, help people decide, this is 10 grand, this is 15. I would break it into 5, 10, 15 grand chunks, depending on the client and the sophisticated client, right? Some of these business clients, $10,000 is nothing to them. So you could do 10 or 20 grand chunks, where some of my family law clients, anything over $1,000 we're having a conversation about because they can't afford 1,000. Even if you put them on payment plans, at least so they understand what things cost before you're doing it, insist on payments. If someone misses a payment on their payment plan, they instantly they get a message from us saying that their case has been paused for 14 days. Like, we will pause your case for 14 days. We will not work on it. And unless there's a deadline that we have to meet, obviously we have rules of professional conduct we meet. If you can't correct this within 14 days, we will withdraw. And then on day 14, like, we follow up with them over those 14 days, but on day 14, if they haven't paid and fixed their payment plan, I withdraw.